Hello, Kimmerahau and Jew. It's Mr. Joseph, and I'm Pashlich, and an Alaba. The exam is complete, and I just wanted to give you my feelings about it and let you know how it went. Well, as you know, first of all, before exams, one thing which is really important for me is authenticity. I need to feel that I'm able to speak from my heart. And in exams, that's sometimes hard because you're asked to describe a family member. Maybe you don't have a family member, maybe you do, but it's hard just to talk about a brother you don't have, or a sister that you do have, or whatever, or a wife or husband that you have. So authenticity for me is kind of important. And one of the big worries that I had was that I wasn't going to be able to do that because this exam, of course, was going to feature questions about describing people. Not only describing people, but describing things and places as well. So, we've been going over loads of stuff in the last few weeks or few days about comparatives. I didn't actually get the chance to use much of those. I should have done, but that way, when you're in an exam, it's hard to remember everything. So the questions that I was asked uh, was, first of all, I think present tense questions about am I busy? What do I do using the shake instructions? So, of course, the questions were an questions, and I was able to answer those using the Shay construction. The one thing that took me a little bit by surprise, they asked me questions about my town here in Paisley using an and I wasn't really expecting that, but I was able to answer them saying, you know, Shay Balavor, for example, Balamore. I don't remember what I said. And the Paisley was quite big, so it was fairly easy. And then the next part, I was asked some future questions. What I'm doing this afternoon, what I do at the weekends. Um, it was quite straightforward. That I was able to say, that this afternoon I'll be working, the weekend I'll be going to the shop, but I'll be at home. And also that I like to make bread, which is true. I do sometimes. So, yeah, I felt quite empowered by understanding and being able to answer all of the questions that I was asked. In thinking back about all the things we covered, if I was more prepared, I probably could have said, like my town is bigger than or is as big as, but I didn't. But I did manage to keep the conversation going. So I'm pleased about that. So I'm fairly confident that my speaking, I had to correct myself a few times. That way when you're asked an A question, you sometimes say ha, and an B question, you sometimes say ha instead of B, and an A question, you say ha instead of she. Um, yeah, I think that happened a few times, but I quickly corrected myself. So yeah, I'm pleased. It's not easy. Um, uh, I'm happy of the way it went. Um, yeah, I think if I was able just to lie my way through the exam, it probably would have been a lot easier for me because I could have had a lot of pre-prepared answers just ready to give about people that don't exist or whatever. But I was able to speak well. They asked me about the weather as well. So yeah, my answers were all truthful. Um, I'm always saying that to learn the language, you need to get into the culture. I think one of the reasons why authenticity is so important for me is because in the Glasgow area where I live, historically, authenticity really wasn't there. And I say that because, as you probably know, this part of Scotland has had a huge problem with alcoholism. So communication, which I'm very sensitive to, is not straightforward here. It kind of bends. You don't really get a straight answer from people. And I really have a problem with that. So I like to be honest, truthful, polite. I don't have to be so direct, but I like to feel that I'm getting my point across without that whole dysfunctional thing that people here use where they don't really deal with the issue at hand. It really is a Scottish thing, and we're all caught up in it. Even those of us who don't drink it, we're all in this big game. I don't know what the government's planning to do about that, but anyway, I'm going off topic. Let me get back to um, my thing about the exam. So my feeling was it went really, really well, and I'm really pleased about that because there's a danger in a spoken exam that you just freeze. Where you just kind of like, ah, and you can't even say, uh, "Cancionerías, please say it again." You just get stuck. So it flowed nicely, and I'm pleased to say, that obviously the examiner, my teacher's a lovely person, so no problem with that at all. Very approachable, kind of accustomed to the accent she uses as well. So really, really good. So yeah, I'm happy it's done. Not a waste of time going over all those things that we did. It helps me to remember them as well. So I'm really happy about that. So lots of things there that I need to go over and make sure I'm using. The summer's here now, so I don't go back to the university until September. So I need to make sure that I keep my Gaelic going and really try to have more conversations because it's the only way you really get into the habit of speaking, even if your writing becomes perfect. As a teacher, I've seen Asian people, especially, write English perfectly. They know everything. Can they speak? No, they can't. They know every grammar rule, but they're they can't voice. So what I'm really needing is to be able to talk more and to voice more. And here, you can't really do language exchanges because what can I offer? English. If you're learning Spanish, you find a Spanish person who's learning English. You do half an hour in Spanish, half an hour in English. But in Gaelic, the only way to do that really is to pay someone to talk to you. So, yeah, it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing what you have to do. So, I need to make sure I get some Gaelic conversations from someone, even if I have to pay them, I think. But you can't really force people to talk to you. And even then, if you did, the chances are that they wouldn't be a teacher, they might not know how to help you. So, it's kind of difficult when you're in an environment where everyone has English. Those that have Gaelic are kind of selling it to you, or alternatively, maybe don't know what you need. So, kind of difficult. I mean, there's a few people, of course, I can exchange voice messages with. That's very good. But yeah, I think probably a really good conversation would really, really help just to strengthen what I already have. So there we are. That's the exam. So everything is done, and I'll be doing some Gaelic things in the coming days and weeks on this channel. I don't know what yet, but I'll move away from the exam practice, which was a bit frightening for everyone, especially when you've seen my wrong answers as well as my right ones. So I'm pleased about that. So it's done, and yeah, I'm happy and I feel good about it. There we are. So have a wonderful day, and Chiri and Rasta.